I'm Izuki Z, and today I'm helping bring a bunch of other Wormhole Corps out to come talk to you, since I'm sure I've presented a whole bunch and some of you are sick of hearing me talk. So I got a bunch of other Wormhole Corps that can tell you how weird they are instead. So what we've got up here for you today is we've got Hotline K162, No Vacancies, Hard Knocks, Mass Collapse, Laserhawks. What was your name again?
Oh God, the glory
And the
Rollers.
Glory Holers. So Thornir is going to start for Hotline K162. And I'm going to come and push them off the stage if they go over too long. I would recommend, well, do you guys want to present right there?
I don't know. What's best?
It's up to you. It's your presentation.
I want the touchy thing.
You
and
can-
I'm going to sit here.
Okay.
Over there you have the notes, you know.
Oh, I have the notes. It's the notes. Oh,
You didn't write any notes.
oh, fuck. But it's just a green one, right?
Yes.
So quickly, my name is Thornir. I run a small irrelevant corp that some null-takers know. It's called Hotline K162, and we fool around a bit. And I want to show you a small video that gives you like the cultural feel of our corporation. And it's been featured at the stream, but since you're all here, you probably didn't watch the stream. But I've been told by people it's cool if it works. Do I need to press it again?
Should have autoplayed. Rip video.
Best
So it doesn't
video
work.
ever.
Like we need to ask them something or what?
They just need to click the thing.
Bueller?
It's a really cool screenshot.
It's a cool screenshot. The
Why don't you
video's
just
better.
act out the video for us?
So basically, what happened is we have a very nice guy who's no longer with us, sadly, but he decided I want to roll wormholes quicker, so he got 5 Macarials, fit them up. He then comes on TeamSpeak, he's like, what the fuck is going on? Because he just rolled himself out with 5 Macarials and no scanners into a C5 and just gives us shit for it, followed by me just losing my shit and our then CEO asking like, but you had a scanner in your cargo. He's like, nope. So I'll give you a brief history of the founding father. So a great man had a vision. His name is Stan Taxi. He retired as CEO, but we were in a corp called 13, and C5 died because CCP nerfed null 6 statics, and that's what we did. And wormhole rolling was boring for us. So we left there, spent some time in a farming corp, and then founded Hotline K162, and moved into a C2 for the amazing infinite content that is nullsec PvP. But we're a bit different than normal wormholes. We fly a lot of 100 NM. Hard Knocks flies a lot of 100 MM ships. So I guess we're different there.
Someone had to do that.
Braxis is probably going to be a bit mad because I've been trolling him about his morals for like 4 months. So please no evictions yet. What we do is like, as we said, like the rise of the 100 NM. So there's this well-balanced module that the CCP devs came up with, which was put under dictors. They thought it was balanced with a 30-some K scram range. So changes were made, and we came up with a 100 MN doctrine. We totally didn't steal it from our friends in Thera. Snakes I used with it, which makes you go faster than basically all the cruisers in nullsec because 100 NMs are good. We do small gang PvP because we don't have any more members. And we like to say that we're fighting the good fight, which means in wormhole terms is that we get blob all the fucking time. And that's why we, again, 100 NM, like this right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is what makes you survive when people drop 30 caps on you every day. So 100 M, all the cruisers, all the things. My final statements, Onira, the guy I mentioned who rolled his Macarials, lost but not forgotten. He's in test apparently now. Iksuki, he told us about, he's also getting kicked from test because of inactivity, so yeah. But Iksuki, he told you about, is killed in wormholes, like emphasis in wormholes. Here we have a chart of last year. We're a small corp, as you can see it here, 66 members. But here is the is killed per member. You see there, 50 billion, and you probably know these guys, hard nuts, 24 billion. So I'd like to say we're good at PvP, but you be the judge, and we are coming to all of you. My name's Stornir, Hotline K162, and thank you for letting me talk to you, and thanks that I can be with these great people since we're irrelevant. But thank you.
Next up, we've got Catherine from No Vacancies, and he's not important according to him.
So yeah, as he said, I'm Catherine from No Vacancies. I am neither CEO nor director or anything else. The only rank of important I have in my corp is that I kind of know how to use Photoshop. Nonetheless, I'll be talking to you a bit about the things we do, and I'll mostly be focusing on the last year because that's when I was in corp, and there were some things going on that were previously alluded to and might interest some people in here. First, a few words about myself. Again, I'm not an important member in No Vacancies. But yeah, I've been in Wormhole space since 2015. Before that, I was playing on and off in Brave, mostly just doing my own thing, exploring, did a bit of wormhole day tripping. At some point, I ended up in the Desolate Order, which is was one of Brave's wormhole corporations. Sadly died in late 2015. After that, I moved on to Sleeper Social Club with a bunch of my friends from Desolate Order. And after that split, I moved into No Vacancies, and I've been there ever since. As for No Vacancies, I've heard us described by some of our members as a business casual wormhole PvP group. So, like, we focus on wormhole PvP. We expect some relative competence from our members, but we try to keep a relaxed atmosphere. Like, yeah, it's all right. We like to have some competence, but nothing crazy. As all wormholers, every single member is important, so members are encouraged to find their own content, which is, in my opinion, one of the largest advantages in wormhole space in general. There's generally a relatively flat distribution of power, like everyone is important, everyone is scouting for content, so literally every single member's actions are important. We live in a vanilla C5, so no wormhole effect. C5 with a C5 static for those that don't know wormhole terminology. Unlike other groups that are here represented, we don't have a Keepstar. We want one, but we can't afford it. So apparently our CEO rather uses the money to buy an X, which we pretend he has. We don't know, but he probably has an X that it doesn't undock. But instead we have a bunch of other structures. He actually stopped us from spamming writers so we don't look like a dirty indie corp. Now, what I want to go into a bit, last year we had some things happen. In late April, we were evicted from this. Looks wrong, but well, whatever, it changed on this one. We were evicted from our old C5 Pulsar on somewhat not ideal circumstances. I won't go into details here because we don't have the time for it. You can read all about it on Reddit, or if we have time for a Q&A, I can maybe answer some questions about it. Yeah. Funnily enough, or not so funny, shortly before that, a lot of the old members of Haywire joined our corporation. Haywire was a AU time zone only wormhole corp, so they joined us, and a week later they had all of their stuff destroyed as we got evicted. Anyways, so as a result of that, it's not really visible because the graph got messed up, but we had a massive slump in activity, which you saw represented in the last presentation by Iksuki. Like, most of the year we weren't really around that much, just because we had to settle into our new home when we moved into a C2 with C5 and nullsec. Anyways, after a while, all the conditions of our eviction were worked out, and in August the last ticket was closed, and conversely our activity rose up again. And yeah, since then we've been quite a bit more active again, and we're quite happy where we are now. And it also allowed us to move back into C5 space in October, where we've been ever since. A few takeaways from what happened there. Account security. We love you, Albatross, but please don't reuse passwords. Also, two-factor authorization verification, it's worth it. One of our FortiSARs, our main FortiSAR, is actually called two-factor fortification. You take of that what you will. Yeah, it also helps to have multiple channels of communication, because one of the conditions of our eviction was we had a compromised directory account, which also meant pings for help, we are being evicted, were being deleted as they were being made, so no one actually knew what was going on for quite a while. Overall, having a good emergency protocol helps. We are quite confident that if a similar situation arises again, we will be able to handle it better. Also, this was before Citadels. It could not happen the same way now that we have Citadels. Like, POSes being offline is a thing that screws you over, takes a lot longer with Citadels, and everyone gets a warning. So, we are very happy that we now have access to Citadels. And yeah, seriously, use strong passwords. It is worth it. Yeah, that is all from my end. I want to end with, yeah, we are called No Vacancies, but we do in fact have vacancies. Someone was asking earlier, hit us up after the presentation or anything like that. We'd love to hear what you want to do. That's all from my side.
I'll let him introduce himself.
What's up, guys? Everybody have a good night last night? I think EXO got me home last night somehow, so thanks for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm a new man. I'm from Hard Knocks. The money crab. You might have seen the scarves. We only got 50 of those made, so we'll have to get more of those made because a lot of people seem pretty interested. But a little bit about me. I'm not actually the CEO. I'm the director of operations, which is like who's gonna who's gonna plan everything and who's gonna make the fits and all that stuff. I consider myself the diplomat and member of CSM 11, now CSM 12. So it's pretty cool. Appreciate your votes, guys. Appreciate it. That was awesome. I was really surprised. 6 of us got on from the last one, so that's good. But yeah, this is our real CEO, Asen. I think there's a quote in my bio that says I pretty much run this corp from my phone. He's the guy that handles the brand, the direction of the corp, and of course those IRL bills, stuff like that. But he's a good guy. He was out at Vegas. He was going to come to this, but he had just changed jobs. But we've got some really, really good directors. These are the guys that get things done. Brax is our biggest content creator. You might have dealt with him. He's a nice, friendly Aussie. Jersey, I'm sure you've seen his videos. They're amazing. I think they're they set their own precedents in all of the Eve media that you see. Frankie does our IT, and we can't talk about what Jess does. He's a spooky guy. Well, yeah, a couple of interactive directors up here. Our Spec Ops team. These are the elbow grease of our corp. I'd say that's what really sets HK out and helps us out is these guys right here. Anything you need done, just scan chains, put together an entire op or whatever. These are the guys who are gonna get those things done. Yeah, but just a little bit about our corp. We look really big, but we're not that many. 83 people. Maybe that's a lot to a lot of people, but we like to keep a good balance, around 90. But our alliance, we've got a whole bunch of people in it, 35 alt corps. Everybody says, why don't you just keep, everything in one corp? And back, when POSs were a thing, everybody needs their own director level, POS permissions and bookmarks and all that. So we kind of got a little cookie cutter and hug while and started making a massive alliance. It's not renters. Everybody thinks that we rent. It's just a big troll, I promise. But yeah, recent accomplishments. We put down a second Keep Star. I think this was over a few beers at Vegas. I was like, this would be pretty funny if we dropped another one. Just because I think I paid for about a third of this thing by myself, just locking myself away in a wormhole. So there's a lot of stuff you can do if you have a little bit of elbow grease. Recent accomplishment. These numbers are a little bit out of date. I guess they're good for the 31st, but we've been killing a couple more supers since I've been gone too. Like that's all I see on my phone is just how many pings, and it's all Brax and the Spec Ops team that puts these things together. But yeah, 32 supers. I think I haven't checked, but I think that's like more than like Peel and Goons have killed, unless Goons are killing themselves. I don't know. But yeah, we've got like 15 active supers. I saw a thing on Reddit that like kind of triggered me, and it was I don't know if you're here or not, but it was like Hard Knocks, not even a wormhole corp anymore, They're like, and I was like, man, that kind of hurts. But it's the super thing is just content, right? Like you can't really be mad about like just trying to get some stuff together. But at the bottom there it says thanks Drone Renters for building them. It's really funny. They are literally building these supers for us to kill them with. I found that really ironic. But a little bit about our culture. We cater to more of the hardcore EVE player, self-sufficient, ISK and content. That's just kind of like how we recruit. We recruit, people that already are set in their ways and don't need any babying, I guess. You take care of the corp's going to take care of you. Like, it's pretty wild. Like people think like Hard Knocks has crazy activity requirements, and it's literally one single kill a month. You just got to log in once, and we're not going to purge you or anything. But like all you got to do is buy like your beginning ships, and they're going to be paid for the rest of your time in the corp. So we have like pretty good SRP and all that. Keys to our success, it's definitely our culture. Our comms, like we might not be playing EVE, like there might be like 15, 20 of us like just hanging out talking about Rick and Morty, season 3 or whatever. All of our ISK is moved to AltCorps. I think that's like one of the biggest things that's like different about HK is like you don't have people whining about like, I want to do this in the chain, I want to, make ISK or all that. It's just out of sight, out of mind. We don't have to deal with it as a corp or leadership, so that's like amazing. Our strong content creator team that I showed you earlier, those guys are like amazing. Like media drives recruitment. That's what I try to tell new corps is media drives recruitment. Like if you're not that good, like just try to get some good videos out there, and a lot of people just like love your videos and will check out your corp. So utilizing wormholes to the fullest potential, and that's kind of the other big thing is like when that guy said, Hard Knocks, you're barely even a wormhole corp anymore. I was just like, man, we're squeezing everything we can out of this place, so you can't hate us for that. So, but I appreciate your time. That's it for me. On to the next guy.
Yeah, so I'm Ernst, or Frederick from Mask Labs. We're just another C4 crop, which is a very, very bad joke we run continuously, more or less. So we're living in C4, so low-class space. We're only from the European time zone, or only from Europe in general, actually. We're quite new compared to a lot of the other corps here. We've been around for 1 year, give or take. But we like killing stuff, and we do decently well, I would say. Yeah, home is called Ceres, which is important to us because that's the god of crops, and we're a C4 crop, so. And seal memes, that is something we like because killing seals is quite fun, especially when you're from Sweden and the Nordic countries. Although content is always an important part for any wormhole corp, and stuff we do to create content instead of just rage trolling. Rage trolling is a good way to find it. We try force fights on objectives in other people's homes. That's not always the best choice. We use neutral bait tunes, which is quite a fun way to do it. because people like killing tunes that looks very, very bad. And it gives really, really interesting fights because you never know what they bring, and you just pile on shit. Wormhole paranoia has been mentioned before, and that's something you shouldn't underestimate. We tried a while back dropping an Astra House, I think it was in Devil Reject's home, logging off a fleet in there, see what happened. I think they panicked quite well and had a full home defense fleet and a lot of people. We had like 20 Rattlesnakes or something. It ended up like so maybe not the best choice creating content, but it was a fun experience, really fun experience. And we managed to kill some under 3 facts. We really need that killing stuff under facts that people think. I think it's way easier to actually deal access by being active and switching and putting pressure on the pilot. And I just want to finish with a seal meme because that's what we like.
These working?
Can I just talk into this? That's not a microphone, I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah, all right. So, hi, my name is Dinkler, and I am with Laserhawks, and, oh, maybe I should use that too.
That'll be.
Isn't this awesome? So, green is next. Okay, so, we should have hired the graphic designer over there because we had this logo for a while. The person responsible for that logo has been sacked. Anyway, so I want to talk briefly about me. My goal in life and in general is to surround myself with people better than me. I have a drive to learn and to be better at whatever I do, and when I first joined EVE, I joined a small group that's wormhole group called Doom Generation. I was with them for a while, and they were wonderful. They were, shout out to them. At one point, I realized I had been with them my entire EVE career, and I said, I want to continue to be better. I want to, take PvP to the next level. And so I looked around, and I ended up joining Laserhawks because I wanted to surround myself with people better than me. As you've probably seen before, you've seen the graph of the learning curve with EVE. In many ways, joining Laserhawks was very similar. The learning curve was just, it was insane. I thought many times in my trial period that I would wash out because these guys, it's almost like going from paintball to the army. I mean, like like shooting a couple of people on the weekends while you're drunk is one thing, but like Laserhawks, they're really, kind of like HK. People are very self-sufficient. You know that if a person is a member of Laserhawks, they're an accomplished pilot. You know that there's no did he say jump. Like they know if he jumped or not, and they know exactly what's going on, and it's actually really. It's wonderful to be in an organization where people are experienced, and you don't have to worry if if someone's gonna lag behind because you know that everyone's a seasoned pilot. If you were here in the last presentation, there was someone in the back who when we were asked who the notorious Wormhole Corporation, someone in the back, who's me, yelled, Laserhawks. Well, we're definitely one of the more well-known wormhole corporations. As I mentioned, we do recruit experienced competitive pilots, and that's again part of the reason why I joined Laserhawks is because people are hungry for kills. Like it's very much a PvP mindset. I read something in Reddit in just the last week that we're not just active, we're obnoxiously active. So I'm okay with that. The Laserhawks culture, it demands PvP excellence. The advantage, like I said, you know that your corp mates know how to PvP, and the typical Laserhawks pilot tends to have more experience than pilots on average. We have a couple challenges, of course. Everything's a dual-edged sword, right? One of the challenges is that people who aren't up for that steep learning curve in the previous slide, it's maybe not for them. There were several times when I thought it was maybe not for me, but here I am. And then another challenge is that people who are interested in other things besides PvP, if they really are wanting to focus on mining or PvE or corp PvE or mission running, may not be the best place for them. And so for the next slide, again, we focus on PvP. Noobman had mentioned that HK is different than other corporations because they separate the corporation and ISK making. Well, I guess we're different in the same way. So we focus on PvP in the corporation, and really, it's great that all the members can focus on PvP, and so we find our own ways to make ISK. We don't have any fleet PvE ops, so there's no like Friday night we have to get together and run all the sites in our hole or whatever. You're on your own. You are just expected to have the doctrine ships when they're needed, and the doctrine ships tend to be somewhat expensive, but they're good. That's why we picked them, and so it's important to have ISK. And really, so just to so you have the advanced pilots, you have the advanced the doctrine ships, and you have people who are really hungry to win, and that's Laserhawks. There you go. Thank you.
Last but not least, glory holders.
Yep.
No, that's really nice.
All right, so we're going to see if this finds out if I've hidden all the spoilers behind it. But yes, I'm Ale Hawkeye from the Glory Holders, and I am the Industry and Logistics Director for my alliance. I pretty much handle everything on my own, for the most part. I am also probably the shyest member of my alliance, and I'm up here and I am terrified of all of you. I probably should not be, but I am. I am also the filthy Care Bear, and I admit that, and I don't care. If you want to rag on me, feel free. This also means that I probably have too many PI alts. I have about 20, so I'm not completely psycho, but my alliance thinks I am. And this also means that I am easily spooked by my own alts every time I jump through a wormhole. I am spooked by POCO containers when they arrive at the POCO, and I'm also spooked by space dust. So if you're ever out hunting me and you're like, oh my god, Elle just disappeared, I probably got spooked by space dust and I'm not coming out for another half an hour. But I'm also a major gift giver in my alliance. And if you ever find a contract from me, you accept the contract, or I will harass you until you do. I harassed IRDJ for 4 weeks until he took a contract. And Asen didn't accept his Christmas presents, and so I gave him the FOTUS. So, a little about us. We have a wide diversity of people in group. We have people from all races, nationalities, sexual orientations, and we're tight-knit, and the people here are basically family. I've met a couple of my alliance mates. I drove out to meet Albia Well. I've met Red John, and I've, of course, been making his life hell for the past 2 years. But once you're in here, you're basically our family. And that always means that real-life events come before anything else. We have somebody who just returned back from a year's deployment overseas. At least I think he was overseas. We do our best to keep our word. You may laugh at Space Bushido, but we honor it. If one of our guys says, hey, we're gonna, ransom your POCO for 200 million, otherwise we're gonna kill it. If that happens, they're supposed to let go. If they don't, you take it to directors. Or if you wanna have some popcorn, you bring it to me, and I will show them some 1400 RD2s out behind the Fortizar. Now, smack talking is frowned upon, but I will admit that at one time, my guys got out of hand, and it was downright embarrassing, and I worked on trying to get them to pull back and be back to who we were supposed to be. We also don't have a permanent blue list, but that's not because we hate you. We love you, but we also want to shoot you too, because we don't want to see wormhole space turn into a giant blue donut. And for smaller groups, we will ship down or match your numbers to fight you. So if you're like a 3-man corp, and you've only got like 2 dudes online, and 10 of us roll through, ask us to ship down. We'll totally ship down. And if we don't, you come talk to me and I'll go shoot them behind the Fortisar again. Now, I'm going to discuss a little bit about some of the Alliance jokes, of which I am the butt of 2 of them. The first one, which is our most well-known one, is, "Hey Ale, is that your Claymore?" Now, I solo moved us from our C2 into our C4. I moved probably about 80% of our assets over the course of the week, and I was pretty much drunk the entire week because, moving a freighter is not the most exciting thing on the face of the planet. So they don't see my Claymore for 2 weeks. And they finally see it again, and they all start flipping out, "Oh my God, there's a Claymore, Claymore, Claymore." And I'm like, "Guys, it's mine. You've seen the ship before. How often do you see Claymores in wormhole space? And so then it became customary of any time that they saw the Claymore, even if it wasn't out, they'd ask me if it's mine. And one time I hopped down to do my PI where it was quiet, and someone pops down and he says, "Hey, Al," and I'm like, "Okay, what? Is that your Claymore?" And I told him what he could do with himself, and he hops back up, and then Red comes down and he's giggling, and I'm like, "Oh no, you're not." And he says, "Hey, Al," and I'm like, "What? Is that your Claymore?" And I told him what he could do with himself too. Well, when Christmas came around, since I tend to give a lot away, a lot of my wealth, and plus I build a lot of things for the Alliance, I sold that Claymore so that I could have more materials to build Christmas presents for my Alliance and for a number of people that I met at E-Vegas last year. Well, my guys weren't going to stand for that, so they got me a new Claymore. So now I have to put up with it even more. And I also did this to open myself up because I'm not sure if I'm going to be proud of you guys for not sending me mail, or proud of you that the fact that half of you are probably going to spam my mailbox with, "Hey, Ale, is that your Claymore?" Now, we also had another one, which was, "Did you guys hear the news?" We had a Euro fellow who really loved both the political and entertainment news, and on election night, we had the No Politics channel. And guess who was the first one who came down and said, "Hey guys, did you hear the news?" And we're like, "No, it's the No Politics channel." So we moved him out. He goes in, "So did you see Trump?" And we kicked him off the server. Yeah. And the next butt that I am. This is a slightly different take on AWOXing, mostly because I will tell you that I'm going to do it. But we had a low-sec op, and I drank half a bottle of bourbon over the course of the op. It's get to low-sec, have a shot. Oh, we killed something, have another shot. Oh, look, I haven't died yet, have a shot. So I'm basically going around low-sec, professing my platonic love of literally everyone I come across, because I'm a very happy drunk and I like to hug people when I'm drunk. And well, we get home, and of course I'm like, "Guys, did I get to the right tower?" They're like, "Yes, Al, you're in a tower." I'm like, "Score! Have another shot!" So I'm really riled up, and the only time I really get in PvP is when I'm drunk, which is kind of a pattern. So I flail Hugina on my keyboard instead of Hugin, because we're gonna go out fighting. And my best friend threw the gauntlet down. I think he may have mentioned, "Ale, you probably can't even find your way out of the Posh shield." And so that's when I basically said, "You know what, fight me. Fight me." So I got my Sweeple, I went to the sun, and I'm yelling at my Alliance on comms to fight me. And as much as my Alliance will tell you that somebody died, Yobi did not die. He came into Helios, he escaped, that pissed me off. When he came back as Confessor, I scrammed his ass. I did let him go in structure because he was yelling at me to let him go, so I did. And to I did actually have one AWOXing kill. We were dicking around on the Fortizar, and I'm like, "Hey guys, can I come out and play?" They're like, Sure, no problem. So I undock my Macarial. And this is in our C4 Magnetar, which for those of you who kind of sort of know what's going to happen. I shot Elviot's Tengu, took him to 40% armor, and he starts flipping his shit on comms. And we had a Vigilant out, and I'm like, "I can't shoot that, he's gonna be too squishy." So I looked at Chen and his 1 billion regen Onyx. And I'm like, "Hey Chen, can I shoot your Onyx?" He's like, "Sure." So I shoot him for 900, I'm like, "Oh, this is disappointing," because it barely scratches his shield. I shoot him again for 1700. Oh, 2 scratches. So I'm like, fine, I'll shoot him one more time, and then I'm gonna dock up. The kill mail ding pops up, and I'm like, shit! So that was pretty much the one AWOXing that I had. But since this is also our first fan fest, and Mosquito's here, thankfully, to join me, in Vegas, I was left to my own devices. And I show up to the Wormholers dinner, and I basically had a panic attack. I nearly went back up to my room to cry because I could not handle the sheer amount of new people that I was meeting. And I eventually latched on to a couple people, and they're stuck with me now. But my solution was to buy everybody a round of beer, basically to appear that I was semi-normal. And many people probably don't realize. Some people took it, to be polite, and others were very appreciative that they got free beer. But I also brought something else to Vegas, and I brought a whole bunch of soup mixes. Well, I brought 12, and I thought, well, I'm not going to meet anybody. I ran out. And then when Fotis got home, he's like, yeah, TSA kind of pulled me aside. Because when I gave them to him, I told him, you are to split these between Hard Knocks. Apparently, he called Scouts loot and never gave them out. So when he went through TSA, TSA was like, oh, this is, yeah, step over here. But if I can make it to Vegas 17, I will be bringing more for any of you guys who are attending. And they're pretty good. Also, don't leave them in Vegas because for some of you, I probably not kind of like you well enough to drive 2,000 miles to give you another soup. And that's it.
So we've got some time if you'd like to ask any of our fantastic panelists some questions. Anyone except for Madden? I guess Madden. Did you actually have a question?
Yeah, thank you. So what happened to Novak?
I told you we'd have time.
Do I hit the button or?
No, it's good.
Okay. So we can't actually go into too much detail on what happened after the stuff you might have read about, but basically one of our old members, like he was a member up to that point, and he was also our IT guy, got kicked because he was a bit of a shitter, and somehow didn't have all his access to his server revoked. And well, one of our directors, we love you, Alp, happened to be using the same password for his forum account as he was using for his Eve account and Slack account. So I think it was on Wednesday morning, all of our POSes started offlining. Turns out Albatross was warping around, offlining POSes, ejecting capitals everywhere, and also deleting pings that let people know about that. After that, it was pretty much all cleanup, as about 600 billion worth of our assets were summarily destroyed or stolen, and yeah, there were some tickets involved. There were some measures taken that, again, we can't talk about because it's ticket content. But at some point, in August, we got some reimbursement for some of our ships and POSes and other things. And yeah, after evicting with the help of Novak, a certain group that may or may not have been involved in certain activities, we actually came back into C5 space and have been there since. So that's roughly what happened there.
Did they put up a good defense?
Well, they did actually undock a bunch of capitals.
And did they die?
They did die. There were no kill mails generated in the event. Oh yeah, there was a questionnaire about disabling the possibility of self-destructing while tethered. I think thanks to you in part, so that's a good thing.
Other questions for our panelists? Yes.
Not really a question, more of a call-out and everything, just to new man Hard Knocks. Thank you guys for coming to save Hidden Agenda right before Christmas when Hidden tried to throw us out.
Yeah, no problem, man.
That was a crazy operation.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
What do you say is kind of everyone, like, your opinion on lack of love, I guess, because that wormhole space has been getting recently from CCP, or a lot of the new stuff we see coming out, which is really cool and interesting, is mainly for K-Space?
It's easy. We're the minority of the people in Eve, and Eve, like the dev team, they need to please the masses because they are paying the majority of the bill, and they do live in K-Space. Like, we have like a fraction of the people living in wormhole space, and that's just a sad reality. I mean, it doesn't mean it's a bad place to live, but it just means you have to be adaptive.
Also, like, I get that one a lot. A lot of people say, like, hey, this big patch is I read all the patch notes and there's nothing in it for wormholes, and it's just like, we're not getting like tailor-made stuff just for us, but I mean, we've gotten a lot of stuff that does affect us. All the new structures, fleet boost changes, the new scanning is coming out. They're trying to tweak that, just pretty much to our liking, like the Explorer's liking as best they can. So we are getting some stuff, but as far as like big heavy patches just for us, like we are a pretty small percentage, but isn't it like less than 5%?
Yeah, about, yeah.
I think it's like 3%.
It bounces between like 4.8 and 5.2.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we're the smallest but the proudest community for sure.
I had that data. I don't know why that's so
But
funny.
not 5%, sorry.
Yeah.
How much do we actually kill, like in the percentage of the whole of Eve? Is it more than 5%?
I would say so.
I don't have that answer. I suspect that the answer is probably no, only because the ISK value of some of the ships that die outside of wormhole space tend to be exponentially more expensive than what we can generally have in here. But I think Newman's working on it. Hard Knocks is trying to make sure that they kill
Yeah, that's
enough.
why we got the super fleet, right? Because they're going to bring it into a wormhole
It's-
soon.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. Isn't it service guarantees citizenship?
Yeah.
Yeah. It works in.
Who else has a question? Yes.
With the buff coming to heavy missile launchers, you think HML Tengus are going to become a lot more popular in wormhole space now, like they used to be before they got nerfed?
So the question was, the T3 rebalance is bringing, was it heavy missile launchers?
HMLs are getting a damage buff.
Yeah, just by
HMLs are
themselves.
getting a damage buff. And
5.6%. You like those specific numbers?
Approximately.
I don't know. That's curious. I mean, we love our legions. I don't think you could pry those out of our hands. That's definitely something that I've been making sure that the devs know. It's just like, not all of Eve flies just like tri-marked, tanked offensive ships. Like, we have the Newt Legion, we have the ECM Tengu, and those things need to be preserved when they, start messing around with the subsystems. But it's gonna be really interesting being able to pop in and out your rigs. There was a couple, different options. You could guess like no rigs, some a different layout of rigs, something like that. But it'll help you get to your fight a little bit quicker if you pop in hyperspatials and then pop back in your tank. And it's gonna be some funny kill mails, probably mine or Brax's with the hyperspatial and forget to put back in your Trimarks.
Like the hyperspatial Moros.
Yeah.
I didn't have room for that one.
Please don't give Red John any ideas with the hyperspatial Moros.
Regarding how popular the Tengu is going to be, I guess going to come down to how the rebalance looks, if it's going to be valuable.
yes.
So I asked this last presentation, but now I can actually ask them directly. What made you guys start going out to nullsec and flexing so hard? Just out of curiosity.
If it's directed to me, I mean, content's content for us. Getting together, pinging, and getting our dudes together is like what we love to do, whatever it is. The nullsec stuff, honestly, it's just like the gift that keeps on giving. We call it content edge. These people are ridiculous. We've killed the same guy in a super 4 times. 4 supers in like 2 or 3 months, same guy. My phone's been vibrating off the table with, they're trying to hunt one right now. So it's just these people, I don't know, man. They don't care to lose their stuff. I mean, they warp it in on us too. Like we tackle, like Rorquals have been great. Like when I heard those like coming out, I was like, man, we're gonna be killing a ton of these things because they're gonna be in the belts. And like I personally have 4 sabers that I've just skill injected up, and I leave them in like all the little hot spots. And we use a neutral scout. You scan out Cobalt Edge a little bit, and then get a route, from our home over there. Sometimes it's like 3 jumps. It's ridiculous how close, Cobalt Edge is, from a wormhole, if you really look. And so those Rorquals have been great. Like we tackle like 6 of them, and then like they try to warp in a super fleet of like, I think they brought 12 one time. And we're just like, all right, we're ready for this. Like, you know, we've got dreads, we've got supers sitting out here just, you know, waiting to take advantage of these guys. So, I mean, any content's great. Like, we've been pretty lucky the past couple weeks. We've gotten a bunch of fights out of Hole Control and I think TD Sin and Novak, a bunch of guys. So it's just wherever you can get it, for us anyways.
Maybe from a non-super perspective as well. You probably have more to add to that as well. But the thing with nullsec is, for one, no matter what chain you scan out, there's generally a lot of nullsec connections, and you have them all over the map. And for as many attentive null Care Bears farming that there are that will warp out as soon as local spikes, there are just as many that are probably watching Netflix on the side, and usually there's an easy kill to be had there.
Or you can have the luxury we have and rolling straight into them, catching them with their pants down, and that hilarity ensures. It's just amazing, like some of these people shouting.
When Laserhawks, when we scan out a chain, we'll leave the nullsects. We'll scan, you know, 3, 4, 5 levels deep, and then we'll leave the nullsects, and then we'll say, hey, do you want to start popping nullsects? And we'll stack on the hole, and then we'll jump tackle, sabers, and scepters, and you know, like we'll go 6 or 8 jumps out, and if there's something there, then hey, that's great. If not, then we can go to another nullsec. And so it's kind of it's like a special treat at the end of scanning that chain, and so we treat the nullsects a little differently, and I think that's part of the reason why we have some success, is because we have the tackle, and then we have DPS immediately behind, and I think that helps with some of the success.
I'll add too, like, because it made me think of it when he said that. Like, I don't know who did it. It was on Reddit, I think, the other day. It's a Laserhawks guy doing a killboard analysis thing again, and at the top it says like Hard Knocks loses the most sabers, and the reason for that is like we provide them for free. Like we ship in probably like 100, 150 sabers a month and just hand them out. Like we want our dudes to go and catch things. Like they're provided, and that might be something that you want to do in your own corp to help drive content, is to provide tackle ships. And then like we just make things like a thing in our corp. Like, hey, I'm hi, I'm new man, I'm getting a bunch of saber alts. Like I write up a post on the forums like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Everybody else, want to get some saber alts or stuff like that, and just have goals and plan on to drive the content, I guess. And there was another thing I thought about too when we're talking. I'm sorry if I'm taking up all the time. Is somebody was talking about why don't we get love for wormholes? If you guys see a Larrikin, CCB Larrikin out and about, like give him the biggest hug, because he's the one that's looking out for us like a lot. A lot of like the new NPC AI, and stuff like that, could affect us hopefully. And so give Larrikin a big hug for that one.
We're out of time, but can I get another round of applause for our panelists? Thanks for coming out, everybody.